Hi guys, so recently I've been receiving DMs. People have been asking me what will happen to child dependents in the UK. We all know that some visa categories in the UK no longer allow dependents. So there's this particular situation that is making me make this video, right? The students are already on their post-study work visa. They're like a family. They came into the UK together. They're unable to secure sponsorship, so they want to then apply for separate courses again just to extend their stay in the UK. Now the husband is going to apply for a course, the wife is going to apply for a course, but they have 3 children. So what happens to their children in between, since they cannot be dependent of anybody? Do you understand? Yeah, so because of the way immigration changes are here and there, rules are changing. There are some visa categories whereby you cannot, for example, if you want to, from spring of next year, if you're switching to a skilled worker visa, you might not be able to switch with your dependent. So what happens if you as a wife get your own visa and the husband gets his own COS? The child cannot get COS and cannot be a dependent to either of you. What then happens? That is what I'm going to be sharing in this video. So if this interests you, please do well to subscribe and stay tuned till the very end. Hey guys, my name is Yeti and welcome to another episode of Yettysplash. On this channel I share information about relocating, migrating, living abroad, especially the UK. So if this is something that interests you, or if you're someone looking to travel outside your comfort zone, your home country, then you have to subscribe to this channel. Like, Yettysplash is where you want to be. You want to join the Splashes family. You want to join the Yettysplash circle, okay? So please do well to subscribe, like, and share my content to anyone that can find it relatable. And to all my returning subscribers, you guys rock. Thank you so much for watching this video. So you have to watch this particular video to the end to find out what I want to say about child dependent, because I believe that it's going to be helpful for either you or for someone that you know. So don't touch that dial and don't go anywhere. On today's episode of Yettysplash, we are looking at the child dependent, like what happens to dependents, right? So what is going to happen to your child? But before I even go further into that, I need to put this disclaimer out there, okay? This is not an immigration advice, guys. This is not me giving you an immigration advice. I'm not an immigration consultant. I'm just telling you what I know based off of my own research. Do not take this as an advice. If you need further clarification, please book a session with an immigration consultant for them to further weigh your options. But this is just what I think that you might do if you have children dependents in the UK and you can no longer put them on your visa category anymore. So let's get into it, guys. So what you are going to do depends on 2 things. Number 1, if your child was born in the UK or if your child was born outside the UK. Okay, so no need to panic if you have a child dependent in the UK and because of the immigration changes, they can no longer be your dependent. Then you have to watch this video to the end to find out what you're gonna do. So I'm going to be talking about child rule in the UK, and I'll be looking in particular the Appendix private life rule, right? The Appendix private life rule. So the Appendix private life rule is applicable to children that want to settle in the UK. So it's majorly in 2 categories, guys. The first one is not only, anyway, this Appendix private life rule is not only applicable to children, but I'm just going to be talking about the one that relates to children and that will relate to child dependents. If you have children in the UK and then they can't switch visas anymore because they can't be a dependent, or the visa category you guys want to switch to no longer allow dependent. So the Appendix private life rule talks about private life, like it gives people settlement based on the fact that they've spent a longer time in the United Kingdom. So what you're going to do for your child, or what you are going to do, depends on 2 things. Number 1, if your child is born in the UK. So if your child is born in the UK, then you have nothing to worry about. All you just have to do is, of course, your child will still be able to attend school. Even if they can't switch visa or they can't come under your dependent visa, that's absolutely fine. But just ensure that if they continuously live in the UK for 7 years, as long as they're not living out, because the problem will be when they're living out, then they might not have a visa to come back into the UK. But you can leave them, they'll still be going to school and everything. And once they've reached age 7, or they've continuously stayed in the UK for 7 years, then they can apply for indefinite leave to remain straight. Like, you don't have to stress, like, stop panicking. Appendix private life, your child that is born in the UK and has continuously lived in the UK for 7 years can automatically apply for their indefinite leave to remain. You can apply for their indefinite leave to remain, but obviously you also have to prove that it is unreasonable for them to leave the UK, like they've been integrated. That is why it's called Appendix private life. All their life, their lifestyle, their school, everything, you might need letter from school as well, is revolved around living in the United Kingdom. And the beautiful thing about this rule is that if your child gets that settlement and the parent is not yet settled, then the parent can use this opportunity to also, apply on their child or apply under their child visa as a dependent, and then use that towards counting their own, immigration settlement process as well. But ultimately, we are just looking at the child here. So once your child is born in the UK, don't stress, let them stay or live in the UK continuously for 7 years, and then you can apply for their indefinite leave. That is scenario 1. So guys, the second category is applicable to those that were not born in the UK, but they were brought into the UK when they were a child. So you have to be a child. You were not born in the UK, but you came into the UK as a child. So this is for people who bring in their dependents and then they can't switch to their own visa for some reason. All you have to do is that they just have to stay in the UK continuously for 7 years, right? So once you stay in the UK continuously for 7 years, then after 7 years you can apply for 5 years indefinite leave to remain. So now there's a difference between the 5 years rule and the 7-year rule. The first one I explained shows that they must be born in the UK. Once you're born in the UK, automatic 7 years straight, you get your indefinite leave to remain, no question asked. But this one, you are not born in the UK and you have been living in the UK continuously for 7 years, then you have to apply for 5 years indefinite leave to remain. So you must ensure that you might be older than 18, but at least you're less than 25 years, and half your life must have been lived in the UK to qualify for this rule. So you must ensure that your child has stayed in the UK for more than half their life to be able to qualify for 5 years rule. Then it is after this 5 years indefinite leave to remain that they now qualify to apply for their indefinite leave. That's the option 2. Option 3, guys, is to just leave your children in the UK. Then when you as the parent get like a settlement stance, you get your ILR, then you can apply for your child as long as they are still under 18. I don't know if you understand. The first one I explained is for the child to get their indefinite leave to remain after 7 years. The second one is that that first one is only applicable to those born in the UK. The second one is that, this child was brought into the UK, not born in the UK, then they can also stay for 7 years. As long as they can show that they've lived out their life in the UK, they can be eligible for the 5 years route, 5 year settlement, visa that they are going to give them. Is after these 5 years, then they can now apply for ILR. Or if they've stayed continuously legally in the UK for 10 years, then they can now apply for indefinite leave to remain. But the third one is applicable to whether you are born in the UK or you're not born, or you're born outside the UK. But as long as one of your parents, that is you, probably you went ahead and maybe the mom went ahead and applied for a COS now, and then has now gotten indefinite leave to remain, then your child cannot apply under you. So most important thing is that I think what the big lesson here is that immigration rules are not really harsh when it comes to child, right? When it comes to children, they are not that harsh. So they don't deport children. While as an adult, you must ensure that you have a valid visa. For children, they don't deport them. They don't say it is unheard of because it's against human rights. You don't deport a child. They don't have a mind of their own. So you can just leave them in the UK. If you have your settlement stance settled, then you can apply for them and then regularize their stay. But if you don't do that, you can either apply for them. If they are born in the UK, after 7 years they get their ILR, and if they are not born in the UK, if they've been living here continuously for 7 years and they can prove that half their life have been spent in the UK and it is practically impossible for them to live or to integrate themselves back in another country, then they can apply for the 5 years leave to remain before they now grant them the indefinitely leave to remain. I hope this clarifies it. However, guys, there are some things that you need to know to qualify for either the 7 years route or the 5 years route for child settlement in the UK. Number 1, you must not have probably stayed 550 days in total throughout the duration of you claiming this settlement in the UK. That's the first one. Then number 2 is that at least in a year you must not have been out of the UK for 6 months or or for more than 6 months. I mean, you are saying that you want to stay in the UK, or it is practically impossible for you to live elsewhere other than the UK. So you can't be spending more time outside the UK than in the UK. Okay, and then there must not have been a situation where you probably just left the UK with the intent of either not returning, or maybe because one of your previous visa application has been refused and then you left the UK. So things like that they'll also put that into consideration. So if you're looking for this option for your children, it's just best you leave them to remain in the United Kingdom pending when they regularize their stay. That's just the best option, guys. Anyways, I hope this clarifies it. I hope this settles your mind. You don't have to worry if you have children dependents in the UK. As long as you just don't have to worry. You can only start worrying when they're like 17 and they're really close. But if they're like young kids, young adults, you don't really need to worry. Just leave them. Once you regularize their stay, they can then regularize their stay. Or if they fall under the 7 years continuous route, then they can then apply to regularize their stay on their own. I hope this video has been helpful. Please do also subscribe. That's the only gift you can give me, and that's the only thing that can motivate me to continue to do this. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, keep following Yettysplash for more, and I love you so much. Bye, guys.